think the key point that I've pulled out about what you said about direct payments is that potentially it's not the money or the resources
No,
or the lack of skills in people that is going to stop it happening.
I don't think so.
But actually health and safety,
Yeah.
which
Well,
to me is just
but,
crazy.
but there again, you see, I think health and safety, this business is only being dreamed up by somebody else. This is not official health
Yeah.
and safety executive policy.
Yeah.
This is a policy of a private company, which is
Okay.
a PCT.
Yeah.
It's their policy. It's not a law.
No.
So I think because we're all frightened of being sued for this, that, and the other, thank you, America, that we've found this in over the years that the people are not willing to push themselves or go that extra mile for other folk in case they get sued.
Yeah.
So it means that social services, the quality is actually degrading. It's not getting any better. Doesn't matter how good the people are, how dedicated or how much money they're. If they're going to have their hands tied behind their back, we might as well not bother. And that's my view on it at the moment. And it's a little jaundiced, but that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm hearing.
So, fingers crossed that that doesn't become
Well,
a major obstacle.
Well, I hope not. I'm going to try and make sure not. But at the end of the day, it's not up to me.
Yeah. So fingers crossed that obviously we overcome that barrier, and then Leslie, you have a little team of people that are there to support you, as and when you want. So you're in control of that. So Mike, from your point of view, do you think that will just give you that little bit of time, a bit of Mike time, I guess, that
Yeah.
you're there to do your own thing?
Yeah. It would give me peace of mind to know when I walk away from the house that I'm not going to get a phone call when I get to the bottom of the street and have to go back. Obviously, with being primary carer and house husband and all that sort of jazz, there's a lot of things I need to do. There is also me time. As a carer, you need me time if you're going to do this job properly. So that will release me to actually relax and not have to keep watching the time or looking at me phone or whatever, and have this in the back of my mind. Well, I can't stay here too long. Yes, I think it'll, from an emotional point of view, it'll be better for both of us.
And just thinking, kind of from the service perspective and the money perspective, do you think if that initial money is being spent on Leslie's direct payments, that in the long term that will save a lot of health problems and possibly care problems for you, looking in the real long term?
I would like to think so.
Yeah. So,
I would like to think so.
Spending that little bit of money now is actually saving an awful lot of taxpayers' money for the future.
I mean, because a lot of the service we've accessed up until now have all been charity based. Yeah. So now we're looking at properly, if you want to call that, properly funded social care. So yes, in this day and age, we need to make the most of every penny we can get.
Okay. Right. Well, I think we've covered services.
Right.
I just want to take us back to what we were talking about before about information. You said that initially you'd received most of the information from the MS Society.
Yeah.
Just over the years, has that information been enough? Is that sort of quenched your thirst for the information that you need? Has it been kept up to date? And have you been able to get it when you want it?
Oh, I think that goes as read with when you're talking about the society. There's nowhere else would produce up to date, forward-looking in a lot of respects, information. From a personal point of view, I think that we have reached a position where the information is rapidly running into overload. Because it's been the buzzword for the last few years, information. So you keep throwing information at people, go here, go there. So at the end of the day, they end up with a big stack of leaflets, posters, booklets, and it becomes confusing. I've had this situation a couple of times where people say, well, what am I supposed to be looking at, and what you know. So I think to a lot of extent there's really that much that's too much. You know, a lot of good information, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good information, but I think at the end of the day we've produced so much that it's too much.
Your head could explode.
It's because I think, to use an analogy, I think we've got to a stage where the late 70s, as they did with disco music, there's that much of it. You can't separate the dross from the good. You know? So sooner or later we're going to have to cull as much information as possible and go back to square one. Yeah, but information, so much.
Okay, so I guess going back over the last 15 years since you were diagnosed, Leslie, if you could change sort of anything that's happened over the course of that time, what would it be and why?
It would be how you told of your diagnosis and get it explained properly.
So right at the very beginning for you, that was what you needed.
Yes.
How would you have felt at that time of diagnosis if a doctor that told you had told you very differently, and obviously told you that you have multiple sclerosis, and then asked you, do you want information now, or do you want to come back to me or somebody else when you want that information? Would that have been all right?
I would have liked them to say, you've got MS and this is what MS is.
Right.
And then I could go home and get some more information if I wanted it.
Right.
I think personally, from an ideal perspective, if during, yes, the bad news is delivered, and then if the consultant doctor or whatever had said, fear not, come with me, I will introduce you to, and this person would be standing with an armful of literature, take you into a room, you have MS, this is what MS means, this is what it does, all the basics, nothing flash, basics, where you have one or two leaflets here, there is my telephone number, I have your name and address, if you want anything, if I'm not there, leave a message on the phone and I will send it out to you. You want to come and talk to me, ring this number, make an appointment. And I think from a personal perspective, I think that would be the ideal way to do it. So the newly diagnosed wouldn't walk out the door of the hospital thinking,
What now?
You know, because at the time, your head's full. You don't know what to think. You're in turmoil. So I think if that initial turmoil was taken away straight after diagnosis, it could be anybody. It could be an OT, or it could be an MS nurse, or even just a caring professional. Anyone, just to deliver that initial information and take the sting out of it. And I think over the years, I think that's been the constant complaint about diagnosis.
Right. Okay, last question. So hopefully there's going to be lots of people watching this DVD, and you know, I mean, there could be occupational therapists, physios, GPs, social workers, whole host of different professionals. If you could give kind of one word of advice to them when supporting somebody who has MS and their family, friends, carers, what would that be?
Speak to the person that's been diagnosed as a human being. And if they've got questions of their own.
And from my point of view, I think don't get carried away by what's going on in the background. What we're doing here is all about this and what's best for this. It's got nothing to do with budgets, office politics, what time you're going to get off work, what you're going to make for tea, promotion, whatever. This is what it's about. Nothing more, nothing
Okay.
less.
Okay, thank you very much for answering all the questions this afternoon.
You're welcome. Hopefully we can do it again someday.